Won't he do it? I hope everyone's feeling blessed. My name's Amir, just a child of God, trying to share my journey of faith walking with Christ. It is not easy, but we get through it every day. Lately, being in the Word, in the book of James specifically, studying with Messiah for our Bible studies, and boy, beautiful. We finished the book of James now. It's just about 6 chapters, so I definitely encourage people to read it and break it down because there is so much in there, so much gems in there, and just looking at the idea of endurance and that patience in the tarrying before Christ is returning or before the good things occur in our life. It's very key. But today we are in the book of Kings. We're in the book of First Kings, and I'm going to be in Second Samuel briefly to begin with, but we're continuing this, could I call it a series of breaking down the word, breaking down First Kings. I mean, it's not going to be to a big scale, but it's going to be something that everyone could probably relate to. I'm not trying to do anything going on my laptop as we're searching, looking for context and things like that. I'm just trying to look at the context based on reading before the scriptures and after the scriptures and seeing where we come to. And the good thing about reading, going through each chapter or most of the chapters is you already have the context from the previous video. So if you haven't watched the previous episode, please do. We were talking about how Solomon was in a position where he could actually request to God what he needed, and he requested for wisdom, and we see how that wisdom comes into fruition. We see how it manifests, and we see even in this chapter how it manifests, and we are in chapter 5. So if you got your Bible up, please go to First Kings chapter 5. You could probably see from the title of the video that this is gonna be around preparation. It might not be a long video, but it's gonna be impactful because when it comes to preparation, it's not something that can be rushed, and we'll see that straight away going to Second Samuel. I know I told you to go to the book of First Kings, but you can stay there. I just want to give you context. So right now in chapter 5 of First Kings, Solomon is preparing to build a temple. Now, I said in my previous videos that David wanted to build a temple, but God said no, it needs to be from somebody else. Now we can see in 2 Samuel chapter 7 that David is basically like, he's like, who, you have no temple, who's gonna build that? He says, would you build a house for me to dwell in? Go and tell my servant David, thus says the Lord, would you build a house for me to dwell in? For I have not dwelt in a house since the time I brought the children of Israel up from Egypt, even to this day, but I have moved about in a tent and in a tabernacle. And David's like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do this for you. But God says, when your days are fulfilled and you rest with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, who will come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commits iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, with blows of the Son of Man. But my mercy shall not depart from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I removed from before you. And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you, and your throne shall be established forever. According to these words and according to all the visions, so Nathan spoke to David. So we can see that from David's lineage, somebody would be there to build the temple. Now we are here where they are about to build the temple. Now I don't know how I'm going to go about this, but I want to break it down because immediately, without even getting into chapter 5, we can see how long preparation can take. Now, I am asking you, if you're watching this video, that sometimes preparation doesn't mean the outcome is for you to execute. Preparation could be for your generations to come. The prime example here is David. David didn't build a temple, but that preparation, that seed was sown from the days of David until Solomon was ready to be king, and that's when David passed away. So that building of a temple, that preparation towards it, was not done in one day. You know, when they say, oh, Rome wasn't built in a day, this temple wasn't built in a day, and it took time before it was even discussed of what materials were needed and all these things. It was prepared by God. You can see Nathan spoke to David and told him and made him aware of what was to come, and David was patient with that, and he did not try push to build a temple because he knew God's time was everything. But it just goes to show that wherever you are in life, that you shouldn't be putting yourself as that main character. Like, you might look at yourself like, yeah, this is something that I gotta do, you know, God's preparing me to do this. No, maybe God is preparing you to be in a position to instruct that person that is to come after you. Or maybe there is somebody around you that he is preparing. He's preparing you to, you know, send that message and build them up. It's like discipleship. When you're building somebody up, it's almost that same aspect of, you might not be seeing certain type of testimonies, but the person you've built up, they will. And that's just simply because whatever was meant for them, you know, God meant it for them and not for you. And that's something that we need to get our come to terms with. Otherwise, we could just be doing things, making ourselves the main character, and it's not even fruitful to the kingdom because it's not what God wanted in the first place. But let's read this. It says from verse 5, and behold, I propose to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spoke to my father David, saying, your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, he shall build a house for my name. This was something, again, we just discussed. It was premeditated. It was preempted. This was something that was always going to come. It says, now therefore, that command that they cut down cedars for me from Lebanon, and my servants will be with your servants, and I will pay your wages for your servants according to whatever you say. Now he's actually talking to Hiram, king of Tyre, and Tyre, and this was someone that David, who always loved David, like they had a good relationship. So he's offering to pay their wages for their servants to help build this. And he says, for you know there is none among us who has skill to cut timber like the Sidonians. So when it comes to God, right, and this is why I love our Father, when it comes to God, he will put you in a position where you will have the resources. Now, we saw in a previous chapter that when Solomon asked for wisdom to discern between good and evil, God blessed him with much more. One was riches, one was with honor. We can see how that riches is coming into effect now because he has access to resources. They said there is no one that we know or among us that has the skill to cut timber like the Sidonians. So everybody has a skill. It reminds me of us, the ecclesia, where there's different people with different gifts and we all make up the church. We can all help each other and come to one to be in unity with Christ. And here we see people around to build this temple. Each people have different skills and they are all coming together to build the temple for Christ. And it says, so it was when Hiram heard the words of Solomon that he rejoiced greatly and said, blessed be the Lord this day, for he has given David a wise son over this great people. Again, he has given us a wise son. Again, we see the fact that God's promise has come, like God's promise is the plan, and his plan always prevails. We can see the wisdom flowing, oozing out of Solomon. No one is questioning Solomon's wisdom at this point, but from the point of Solomon being gifted with wisdom, we can see it a reoccurring theme. Nearly every chapter is talking about wisdom. Nearly every verse is talking about wisdom. And that just goes to show and emphasizes what God can do in your life when you are seeking him out of humility and not seeking him for selfish ambitions. All these themes just are flowing and crossing over into new chapters. But we continue. It says, so from verse 12, so I'm reading through and skipping through different verses. But so the Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he had promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty together. together. They have both come together for the works of the Lord. Now, I believe that there was some sort of dispute that happened or was going to occur, because they were talking about wages and coming to an agreement. So they came to this agreement. There is peace, and Hiram has agreed to provide the materials that were needed, and you can see the details, like, and he sent them to Lebanon 10,000 a month in shifts. They were 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the labor forces. Solomon had 70,000 who carried burdens and 80,000 who quarried stone in the mountains. All of these resources, these people carrying these weights, that must have been so heavy. There must have been exhaustion, but these people all played a position, were all skilled to be able to do these things. You've got 80,000 people, 70,000 people. That's what, 15,000 overall, if my maths is mathing. That is a lot of people. 150,000 even. Did I say 15,000? That maths was not on point. But what I like when reading this is the detail of the plan. We haven't even come to the actual building of the temple, where there's even more details, but right now we have a foundation. It says, and the king commanded them to quarry large stones, costly stones, and hewn stones to lay the foundation of the temple. So Solomon's builders, Hiram's builders, and the Gibeonites quarried them and prepared timber and stones to build the temple. Just two materials, timber and stone, used to make this temple. Sometimes the minimal can do the most. Sometimes the minimal is the strongest. And when we think of God, I don't want to go into the complexities, so I will say it is just one, it is. But we know the Father, Son, Holy Spirit are God. But when we're talking about God, we make it hard. There is just one God. There is just one God. The truth, the way, and the life. And we make things complicated, and it could all be so simple. Whilst the one can be simple, it is heavy, and there is a big foundation. Throughout the whole Bible, we see references to rocks being a firm foundation. We see Christ being referred to as the chief cornerstone. We're seeing these referrals to strong materials, and these same things are being described to show what kind of foundation we should have with God, but they're also being used to build a temple for God. Particularly in this example where we're seeing stone and timber being built for the temple. When I was reading this, I was like, wow, Solomon has really grown, and there is so much growth just from when God blessed him with wisdom, because you can see through his diplomacy, through his negotiations, how he's been able to gather these resources. And there are thousands of people that are here able to actually come together in unity to build this temple of God. And I believe that partly the reason why people were so willing is because of what David had built beforehand, the preparation that David had built, building these relationships. They saw that God was on David's side, and even through the wisdom of Solomon, people see that Solomon has the Lord's favor. And these are key things that we should be looking for in people. Can we see God? Can we see God's favor in this person's life? And that doesn't mean to say, can we see, this person's rich, that you can see God's favor. No, from the way people speak, because David wasn't the richest of men before anything. He was just a man after God's heart. He was a man that was really trying to seek and draw closer to God. And you want to see that in people. You want to see that because you can see where that preparation really leads to. There is power in preparation, and preparation isn't just looking at, okay, I need to do this by that date, I'm going to do it. Preparation is spending time with the Lord and asking, is this something I'm preparing right now, Lord, for you now? Or is it something you want me to start preparing and build up a legacy almost for my generation to come? Whoever's to come after me, the seeds that are there after me. And it reminds me of a bit of a weird analogy, but sometimes I know every guy has probably had an image of them being a footballer, and you're not a footballer right now, but you had that image, my son is going to continue this. Like, you are good at football as well. You're probably really good at football, but you just didn't have the resources at the time to be able to go to a club, to be able to train at a club, to try and get promoted through the rankings. You didn't have that support around you. So what you're trying to do now is put yourself in a position where you seek the Lord, and he's like, you know what, your son is gonna, let's just say he said your son's gonna be someone active, and through that football stadium, he's gonna be able to glorify me with every celebration. You see it now, a lot of people are glorifying God in their celebrations, especially in the Premier League. You see it, people are praying together, all these things, and that's Christ right there. And that could be the situation. You're planning ahead, you're preparing for what is to come, and it's not for you, it is not for you, it is for somebody else. So that preparation can look selfless, and that can be, it might be a task if you're a prideful person to be moving that aside. But we can see again what fruits come from preparation, and whatever God prepares, it always prevails. So please, let's look at the things in our lives that we are preparing for, and are they for us, or are they for what is to come after us? Who is to come after us? We're not always building for ourselves, but we're building for long term. Buildings aren't just there for today, they're built to last. So what are you preparing at the moment that is being built to last? Like, comment, subscribe. I know I haven't been putting the scriptures on the screen simply because I've just been going through, I'm not reading it, the whole entire scriptures. As you may know, I am studying the word, so I am just annotating the word and underlining stuff here and there. So that's how I'm kind of studying at the moment, and of course these will improve over time. I'll be able to come back to this and give you another revelation of what I've learned from studying First Kings at a later point in my life. I've been walking with Christ since 2023. It's 2025, coming up to 2026, so it's going to be 3 years. So still fresh off the boat when it comes to walking with Christ. And what I mean by that is I don't have the time always to just absorb and analyze the word day in, day out. I have my times where I study, and some people may have more time than me to study the word, so naturally you're going to be able to learn more, and I'm trying to prioritize that time with Christ to be able to give you more information. But yeah, just rambling on now. Please like, comment, subscribe. God bless.